Welcome to Wednesday. It is April 16th, 2025. Your day with the podcast being brought to you by ConverseCountyTourism.com. Feel the energy of Converse County. Explore Douglas's railroad heritage, Ayers Natural Bridge, and the Jackalope legend. Glen Rock boasts scenic trails, dinosaur history, and small town charm. Plan your visit at ConverseCountyTourism.com. Well, we're going to have another pretty day, much like what you see there in the beautiful photo there of some lenticular clouds and some blue sky and a nice reflection near Bighorn, Wyoming. We're going to have more high and mid-level clouds today, but overall it's going to be a really nice day. Temperatures will be very warm. It'll be very spring-like. But by late afternoon and evening, we're going to see a few isolated showers and thunderstorms. And for you folks in Montana and northern Wyoming, by evening and by late afternoon in some areas up north, you'll feel it getting colder with thickening clouds and maybe some showers. That'll be aligned with a cold front that's going to move quickly through the region, bringing in air right out of the Northwest Territories. So we're going to see air come out of the desert states today. Tomorrow and Friday and Saturday, the air comes from the Northwest Territories. So we're talking about a flip. A significant flip in basically where the air masses are coming from. So you're going to see areas of rain and snow. As we mentioned yesterday, livestock interest in calving or lambing operations, anybody who's traveling, especially over the higher roadways, Interstate 80 in particular, but 70 as well, and the mountain passes, be prepared for poor travel. Montana, Wyoming, and Colorado will see the heaviest precipitation with this system, but we're going to see moisture all the way down to northern Arizona, northern New Mexico as well, and a good part of Utah, and eastern Idaho will get into the mix as well. We're going to see lighter amounts in the Nebraska Panhandle, western areas of South Dakota, as there will be a gradient. We'll show you here in a moment. But overall, this is a pattern change that will lead to more unsettled weather, more opportunities next week and the weekend after for precipitation. So this is the start of a more active weather pattern. Beautiful shot there with the sunset and virga, rain that evaporates before reaching the ground there in northwest New Mexico, making for a beautiful sunset. And we're going to see thickening in high mid-level clouds, more cirrostratus, altostratus, then getting lower and lower as that cloud deck will build and grow and come in from the northwest. A beautiful spring shot there, the green grass, the snow on the mountains, and the blue sky. Today will be somewhat similar to this, although you'll notice more clouds building up later in the day, and a nice shot of the big moon that's been out there for the last few nights. Satellite image this morning really shows well the forming storm system that's way up north in northeastern Alberta. So you can see the swirl of clouds up here. We have the cutoff low that's a little less defined off the coast of California. And we have generally fair weather in between. But this system is going to dive bomb very quickly south while this one tries to come up and merge with it. So these two are going to be working together in unison. As you can see, the clearing skies now off the west coast with the high pressure ridge building here. If we take a look at the water vapor, you can see the swirls very well in the upper atmosphere, right here and here. So it doesn't look like much, but in 24 hours, these systems are going to be coming together. A quick glance at watches, warnings, and advisories in effect across the lower 48. We still have some very cold April temperatures. These are freeze warnings. They are across the central parts of the United States, but we've got winter storm watches, winter storm warnings, and advisory for winter weather right here. Now expect this to expand. More areas will be added later. We have winter storm watches in effect for southwestern areas of Utah. There aren't currently winter storm watches for the mountains of Colorado, but that will be added. These are for high fire danger due to increasing wind today and early tomorrow ahead of the trough. If you take a closer look into the central part of the Rockies, you can see that for Wyoming, this is where we have advisories for winter storm and winter weather conditions in effect. And again, expect more areas to be added here over the next 24 hours. The surface analysis doesn't show much going on. We're starting to see low pressure form at the surface near the panhandle of Idaho in response to the deepening low up north, but still a high here over the Four Corners area. And you can see that very well at the 500 millibar level, where the systems are going to be by noon today. So by noon today, it's going to be getting cold, cloudy, unsettled with some showers developing in that area here. Now there's going to be instability as the warm air with some moisture is pushed northward and the cold north air is pushed southward. So there's going to be an area of instability. And by tomorrow, so from today, noon tomorrow, you can see that there's a merger, so to speak, of the two lows while the high pressure builds strongly along the west coast. So by noon Thursday, we're going to see the cold air advancing, and by Friday, we have an elongated trough of low pressure. The areas of moisture and the areas of cold and warm air will then converge along this oval right here, and that's where the heavier precipitation is going to form. So we don't have necessarily a one center of the system. It's elongated and stretched out a little bit. But as we showed you yesterday, warm air and moisture aloft will be overrunning the colder air coming in at the lower levels. So up high, southwest winds aloft, transporting the moisture. On the surface, cold air rushing in from the north. And we're going to see a little bit of isolated shower and thunderstorm activity today. So southeast Colorado, eastern New Mexico, west Texas here, there will be some thunderstorms late this afternoon and evening. Then you can see over the Great Basin and over the Rockies, a few weak isolated showers and thunderstorms are going to be developing. And then tomorrow, along that boundary where there's going to be that warmth before the cold air comes in, there'll be an axis of showers and thunderstorms tomorrow while the cold air really pours in from the north. And you're going to see that. Let's step through how the temperatures will evolve. So this is noon today. You can see a big pile of warmth right here in the western high plains, down-sloping conditions off the front range, really adding to the temperatures. So there's going to be 70s and there's going to be some 80-degree temperatures out ahead of this front. But there you can see the cold air is coming down the east slopes of the Canadian Rockies and will be into Great Falls, Cut Bank, those areas by noon today. So northern Montana going to be getting cold. Southern Montana, you're going to be warm for another day. Then by noon tomorrow, look at the advancement of the cold air. Still very warm air out ahead of it, but getting suppressed and pushing south and east. So today, by noon, Mountain Time, noon tomorrow, Mountain Time Friday. So you can see the advancement of the cold, and by Saturday, the cold is really piled up, and you've got temperature anomalies that are 20 to 30 degrees or more below the seasonal average. So you can see the cold gets all the way back into the Four Corners area, all the way back into Arizona, even into Las Vegas. So it's quite an impressive push of cold air, even for the middle of April. It's pretty impressive. And when you look at the temperatures, these are the forecasted temperatures by 6 p.m. Mountain Time on Friday. So, I mean, these are very cold temperatures in relation to where they're going to be today. And at the same time, take a look at what the overnight forecasted temperatures will be by Saturday morning. Those gray areas you see, those gray areas in the mountains of Wyoming and northern Utah, there are temperatures at or below 0 Fahrenheit. So you can see some single digit possible in the Shirley Basin areas of Wyoming, teens and 20s elsewhere, 20s across the Dakotas into western Nebraska. So not just a freeze, but a hard freeze. Precipitation, the models have been very consistent, showing that the heaviest moisture is going to be along and just on either side of the Continental Divide. That's because the best lifting of the atmosphere will be aided by the terrain. The terrain and the atmosphere kind of working together here to cause the strongest lifting of the atmosphere, vertical motion, and the best chance of precipitation. Notice we have a gradient. You have lighter amounts the further away you get from the mountain ranges. So that is a system here where we're going to see the focus more along the divide. If we take a look a little bit closer in at the national blend of the models, you can see there's some pretty good agreement overall if you average them together. There's kind of three areas of heavier moisture. One is right here in southern Montana, another one east-west across parts of central Wyoming, from the east slopes of the Wind River Mountains through Lander, Riverton there to Casper, then upslope conditions and along the higher mountains of the Laramie Range, the Snowy Range in the Sierra Madres, the mountains of Colorado, into the Wasatch, Utah, into the rim country here of Arizona, picking up some nice April moisture there. But you can see that there's lighter amounts across the plains. Some overrunning gets up into North Dakota there. This heavier moisture is what's going to come Easter Sunday out on into the plains. So the closer you are to the Continental Divide, the heavier your precipitation will be. Convert that to snow, and you can see the mountains are going to do well. Watch for poor travel along the high elevations of Interstate 80, South Pass, Powder River Pass, Togety Pass. The Beartooth Mountains are going to see significant snow along with the Bighorns, but snow getting all the way down into the Southern Rockies as well. So we are going to go back here in time. Some of you said, well, hey, last week you said some of the models were really bad, and they were, and we were using AI tools to try to get some semblance of what was going to happen in the long term, because we were not happy with how the models were doing past 4 or 5 days out. So let's take a look at that. So this is what's going to be a high confidence event for by noon Friday. Now, at this time last week, in fact, this is from last Wednesday's podcast, we were showing that the European model was showing a low up here in southern Canada and a cutoff low over the desert southwest, and this is for tomorrow, the forecast for Thursday. So we had a big discrepancy between the European model, the deterministic model, and the AI model. Well, the AI model was actually wrong. The European deterministic model, it was not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but it has the general pattern more correct with the high pressure ridge, because this is what's going to happen. And the AI instead had the low back out here and another low out here. However, I have to defend the AI model a little bit, because the day after this day, last Thursday and Friday's AI version, probably captured what's going to happen the best. But from a long-term standpoint, the AI was less right, more wrong than the deterministic. And this is actually what's going to happen by Thursday, tomorrow morning. So both models, you can see the perfection is not there. You don't expect that ever. But the deterministic model beat the AI. But the AI, as we got a little closer, ended up being more consistent. So we've got a lot going on between now and the weekend. This is by Sunday, noon, Easter Sunday. So you can see it's cool, it's unsettled, and we've got another series of lows stacked up to come into the western United States next week. So we'll have more on next week's weather forecast as we get a little bit closer and we're able to sort out the details. Have yourself a great Wednesday. Enjoy the nice weather before the change.